PR Connections Radio presents. This podcast is brought to you by LifeWave. Ready to elevate your wellness game? Meet X39 from LifeWave.com. This game-changing patch uses phototherapy to stimulate your skin, enhancing strength and stamina by channeling your body's innate energy. Simply apply it to harness infrared heat, naturally boosting your vitality. Want to learn more? Visit www.lifewave.com/VernD and step into a healthier, more active lifestyle today.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Breaking the Silence Beyond the Boundaries, where bold voices rise and limits fall. I'm your host, Gail Larson, and I am so excited to welcome you to Season 2. This season is about moving beyond the limits we once believed defined us. Together, we'll explore how growth, courage, confidence empower us to use our voices more boldly, to pursue greater possibilities, and to step fully into who we are becoming. In this ever-changing world, who are you becoming? But before we talk about where we're going, let's take a moment to reflect on how far we've come. In Season 1, we began by exploring what it means to find courage, the courage to be heard. In episode 1 through 3, we focused on fear, self-doubt, and the internal barriers that often keep our voices quiet. Now, my first guest, as Cheryl Lynn reminded us, on the other side of every emotion is resilience and strength. So let's just feel them and get out there. Another guest, Calvin, challenged us not to borrow confidence, but to build it from within, saying, you have to wear your confidence. It has to be a part of you. And then Bailey gave us this simple truth. Fear is a normal part of the human experience, and you just have to just do it anyway. And then in episodes 4 through 8, we shifted into the practical side of communication, learning how to strengthen our voice, connect authentically, and speak with confidence. One of my guests, Mary Jo, reminded us that communication requires preparation and discipline, especially when she said, there is not a day that goes by that we can underperform. Helene shared her process for growth. Decide, align, commit, and understand that it is a continuous practice. Now, Jesse Oakley III encouraged us to embrace imperfection with his unforgettable words. Dare to stink. Anytime you take a fall, get up and move forward. And then Dane reminded us that speaking up starts with trusting yourself enough to step in. You will know when the time is right. And then I had Christina on, who challenged us to reframe our fear into empowerment. Make that squeaky voice roar to the heavens. Then in our final 2 episodes, we moved beyond simply learning to speak and began exploring what it means to truly own your voice. I had Sonia on, who reminded us that presence is not about volume, but authenticity. Being loud doesn't mean you're more valuable. Being true to yourself is what it means to be truly present. And then Rebecca shared the importance of speaking in a way that reflects who you really are. She said, choose to speak simply and step into a voice that feels more like you. Those conversations laid the foundation for what comes next. Because once you've learned to find your voice, the next question becomes, how do you grow beyond the boundaries that still try to contain you? And that is exactly what this next season is all about. This season, we'll explore questions like, what are you ready to say now that you weren't ready to say before? What possibilities have you been holding back because they felt too bold, too unrealistic? How do you give yourself permission to be seen, to take up space, and to speak with greater confidence? What does it mean to step into new spaces, own your story, and live beyond the limits you once believed define you? Now, some of you might be wondering how I came up with these themes that we explore in Breaking the Silence. Well, the truth is, these are lived experiences, my lived experiences. At a certain point in my personal and professional life, I realized that I was either holding back or being held back from expressing my true self. I didn't fully recognize that until I stepped away from the corporate world. That's when I began to focus more intentionally on my relationships with others, but most importantly, my relationship with myself and how the world would perceive the new version of me. And that's when the themes for this podcast really began to take shape. For example, I asked myself, what am I ready to say now that I wasn't ready to say before? Because I realized that once I was no longer under the thumb of anyone else, no longer in a space where others dictated what I should or should not say, I was free to express myself fully, honestly, authentically. Now, think about that point for a moment. Have you ever wanted to say how you really felt, but then you were held back because you were afraid of the consequences? And were those fears real or were they imagined? Through this podcast, this next season, I want to give you the space to explore that for yourself. Now, another realization came during what I call my rewirement, not retirement. That's when I began asking, what possibilities have I been holding back because they felt too bold or unrealistic? This season of my life has been a direct reflection of that question. As many of you know, during this time, I wrote 4 books and even created a cookbook to support my gluten-free community. Now, if I'm being honest, which I always am, doing that while working full-time would have felt completely unrealistic. And you know why? Because for 45 years, I was focused on one primary goal: making money. And wait, there's nothing wrong with that. It created the opportunity that I now get to enjoy. But I now ask you, what possibilities have you been holding back because they felt too bold, too unrealistic? And then there's another theme that naturally followed. How do I give myself permission to be seen, to take up space, and to speak with greater confidence? This one is a biggie. During the pandemic, you remember that time, many of us became closed off. And in my case, after being hospitalized with COVID and going through a long recovery, while still working remotely, I became very comfortable in that space. Yep. My reclusive life became safe. Even after everything opened back up, I had to ask myself, am I staying here because it's comfortable or because it's limiting? And I started to notice something. The people around me, my family, my friends, they were stepping back out, reconnecting, re-engaging. So I thought, I have to give myself permission to do the same. And that's what led me here, to social media, to podcasting, to Toastmasters, to speaking engagements. And ultimately, the life that I live today is a direct reflection of this truth. What it means to step into new spaces, to own your story, and to live beyond the limits you once believed defined you. Thus, these are the conversations that we will be having. These are the boundaries we'll be challenging. And this is the journey we'll take together in season 2. So whether you are stepping into something brand new, finding your confidence, or realizing your voice has grown stronger than your fears, welcome. And let me know if you want to be part of this new adventure in season 2. Let's break the silence together and go beyond the boundaries. See you there.
Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success. PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.